Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's where you'll find our revolutionary blueprint course. There's only one place that you can go from zero to hero over a weekend by watching the incredible blueprint. It's everything you'll need to be that $1 million agent. Prospecting, listing, negotiation, and growth. Broken up into short 15-minute pieces, skip to the content you need now or watch from the beginning to end. Only on Josh Phegan Digital.
Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, today we're going to talk about the skill in sales process. Now, when you go and have a look at different markets around the country, Bowral, Mittagong, really good example, a lot of properties that are on the market north of 90 days. If you're in Torquay, inside of Victoria, there's a lot of properties that are over 180 days on market. And, we're kind of blessed that in a lot of this inner city ring type suburb stuff, you can actually have properties that are selling still in under 28 days. When you start to think about sales process, a lot of that is not by luck, but it's purely by design. So how much you get your team to focus on who are the best buyers. Let's get people through at the photo shoot. Let's get really good quality feedback for our owner. Let's have a proper conversation around repositioning on price if we need to. Let's push an auction date out. Let's get really clear on marketing. Do you think that is universal across all markets, that you need to know what the conditions are to then determine how you take a property to market to ensure that you can get it sold in a shorter period of time? Because you know that the shorter it is on the market, the more likely it is it will sell at a premium price. Is that the sort of methodology that you would use if you were going into a market like that and had to sell on behalf of the seller?
Yeah, you've got to understand market conditions, the buyer behaviour. Buyer behaviour in our market is really quick, particularly if you're a good buyer because you missed out on multiple. You don't need to sit around making decisions. You made the decision on what street you want to live in, what area you want to live in, the schools down the road. You're upgrading from the area. So you've already got a really good grasp on what that buyer does, and so you use that energy of that buyer to, slot them into it properly, quickly, and, use that urgency to hopefully have multiple buyers where you can bounce them off each other and, obviously get the best result for a vendor. But it's rare that you would, if I look at the auctions, that we had yesterday, the two that we sold at auction, both buyers, they're both sold under the hammer. Both buyers that bought the properties had seen in the first 10 days. We had a 30-day campaign, so we had to keep them all the way through and get them comfortable, which we did. But that's a bit of an I actually think one of them we would have probably got more if it was sold prior, but the vendor didn't want to do it. So because that buyer had had a lot of energy, but also they sort of slowly talked themselves out of it as the time went on. So it sort of depends on also the different dynamics in the market, like how many other properties are on the market. You're going to miss that person. And we made a mistake last month where we did that with the buyer. We said, go buy the other one. If you miss it, come back to us, and actually went and bought it.
But you do the best you can with the situation, right?
Yeah. So we should have shut down that buyer, but we didn't, and now it's still on the market. But so that buyer had literally it's a good example of this. They started looking out of the area. Ours came up, another one came up, and then we tried to delay it a little bit to give the vendor a bit more time, and try to bluff that buyer, and they ended up buying the other one. So, but that buyer had literally was ready to buy it after seeing it the first inspection, and we learned from that and should have shut that down. But they've moved on really quickly. So it's sort of you got to understand your demographic of your buyers and who's actually interested and working out the sales process. That's the right way to go about it. But the vendor has to understand your process too, because if not, you start giving them offers or saying you got to do this. Going, hey, well, I'm not ready, or I'm not in that mental headspace. So it's. With a lot of vendors of ours, they want that process because they know that's what we build our business on. Some don't, so you got to explain it to them and bring them around, or delay the sale, or do a slow burn, or whatever it might be.
In a situation where there's a lot of homes for a buyer to choose from, what I often get people to really focus on is find out the 3 reasons why someone should buy this one. So make it really clear and upfront. And we do this also in commercial and industrial, where if it's a national tenancy, it's better quality conversation. Go and do that right. It's important for you to make sure that you're positioning those homes and say, hey, if you were going to go and buy one, you'd buy it for these particular reasons. And also to saying, okay, great, how do I position it in such a way that someone actually wants to go and do it? So is it a commercial property? Is it residential property? Is it a long lease? Are we in a position that literally it's got no stairs or a high-span garage? Actually get that right. One thing that you do really, really well is try to list lots of property that's similar. So in other words, if a buyer missed out on this one, bring them to this one. A lot of agents aren't like that. They list a one better, and then the next day they list a five better, and then they go months before they'll list another one or a five better, and then they don't have the that currency in keeping that buyer pool really warm. Is it important for agents to try to get some focus in a market and certain types of price points to be able to make that buyer work a bit easier when you're going through those campaigns?
Yeah, big time. Like I look at one of the auctions we had yesterday, and all three buyers are desperate for a house in that neighbourhood that, then they've all got a budget around 6. So we'll be searching for, all our upcoming stock in the next 30, 60, 90 days to try and bring it to head. So we've got this buyer, they bid up to that and try and bring it to a head.